San Felipe, Mexico. Bill is commander-in-chief of the USA military. Is Trump entitled to receive a Purple Heart? No, he's a civilian commander-in-chief, not a military person. And you can only get a Purple Heart in the USA if you are wounded in combat, official combat. Britton Mayer, Mechanicsville, Pennsylvania. I recently listened to all of the United States of Trump. Very insightful book. Thank you. Appreciate that. Britton, given that backdrop, when Trump chose J.D. Vance for VP, he did it because he believes Vance is a winner. We all know that Donald Trump likes winners. I'm not sure that that was an equation. It was loyalty, as I pointed out. Stevie, concierge member. Stevie gets direct access to me. Hope you check that program out. Joe Biden will never admit defeat before the election. In his foggy mind, the American people want him to lead. All right, but Montgomery says the opposite. By the end of the weekend, Biden will announce he is not running for a second term. Okay, well, Montgomery, I'm with you. I don't know about the end of the weekend. I don't have the timing on it, but it's soon. John, Bill, I agree the Trump supporters should not get cocky. The election matchup is Kamala Harris. We see that happen. We see what happened in 2020 when Joe Biden barely campaigned and got 81 million votes. Don't get cocky. Remember, the media machine will immediately get behind Vice President Harris. In a moment, something you might not know. If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles and have an auto warranty about to expire or have no warranty at all, listen up. Car Shield has a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that's now available to the public. Save on out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. So please call Car Shield now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate the vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. So please call for your free quote, 800-925-7584, 800-925-7584. Hey, what do you have to lose? 800-925-7584.
I'm so tired of my water smelling like rotten eggs. Iron foul. It makes my clothes and home smell, and my sink and faucet look dirty. I'm calling Jones Air and Water Treatment for their solution to this pollution.
Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to your pollution. Call now for your free water analysis at 636-899-1040 and live with clean, great-tasting water. That's 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Now the O'Reilly update brings you something you might not know. We are quickly approaching the halfway point of summer. From the beach to the backyard, Americans are enjoying warm weather, some very warm weather in places, also some classic music. Here are the top 10 summer songs of all time, ranked by Parade and Billboard magazines. Number 10, Summer Breeze by Seals and Crofts. It's a good tune, stands up. Next, Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta, Summer Nights from the movie Grease. So-so. Number 8, Summer in the City by Lovin' Spoonful, classic. 7, Vacation by the Go-Go's. It's not all I ever wanted. Number 6, Cruel Summer by Bananarama, underrated song. Number 5, Fun, Fun, Fun by the Beach Boys. That should be number 1. Number 4, Under the Boardwalk by the Drifters. The top 3 starts with Sly and the Family Stone's Hot Fun in the Summertime. Good tune, stands up. Second place, the Beatles, Here Comes the Sun. and the most successful summer song of all time, released in 1972, comes from Alice Cooper. When asked to explain the inspiration behind the single, Cooper said the song is about the greatest 3 minutes of the year. Quote, "What's the greatest 3 minutes you've ever had? One is Christmas morning when you're getting ready to open presents. The other is the last 3 minutes of the last day of school. It's like a slow burning fuse." And here's something else you might not know. America's taste in music has changed a lot since 1972. This summer, the biggest hit in the USA is called Tipsy by musician Shabuzi. Tipsy has been streamed 40 million times each week since its release last May. Back after this. Everything is expensive these days, you know that. The government is printing trillions of dollars and consumer prices higher than ever. If the government continues its printing and spending, the dollar could continue its free fall, but there are a few things you can do right now. American Hartford Gold can show you how to protect your money, your retirement, your hard-earned savings against inflation by helping you diversify a portion of your portfolio into physical gold and silver. Start with a short phone call, and they can have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your 401k or IRA. So please call or text them right now. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you. Call 877-444-GOLD, 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Again, that's 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.
News, analysis, opinion. News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. New York City officials say they've fared pretty well through the global internet outage.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams says city water, transit, and emergency services are all working well, and emphasizes this massive global outage affecting Microsoft computers, airlines, hospitals, banks, coffee shops, and others was a software update gone bad.
This was not a cyber attack.
There will be some minor disruptions, like trying to pay a city bill online. Many flights have been canceled around the country, but New York City's MTA chief, Jano Lieber, says
New York City's public transit system is going full speed.
I'm Jackie Quinn.
Long lines formed at airports in the U.S., Europe, and Asia as airlines lost access to check-in and booking services at a time when many travelers are headed away on summer vacations. Hundreds of people assembled in the corner of western Pennsylvania on Friday to say their final goodbyes to Corey Comparatore, the father of two who was killed during the attempted assassination of former President Trump last weekend. Mike Choma says he's not surprised hundreds of firefighters arrived at Cabot Methodist Church in a procession of over 100 trucks to show support for Comparatore's relatives and friends.
Doesn't surprise me so many people showed up, especially volunteer firemen. I'm a retired volunteer fireman. It's a family. You saw it today.
Comparatore died while shielding his family from the sniper attack at the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania last weekend. President Biden is resisting pressure to drop out of the election and is appealing for party unity to take on former President Trump's dark vision. Sidelined with COVID-19, Biden said he'll return to the campaign trail next week. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You just grin and bear it or bite the bullet when it comes to everyday pain? Don't. Try Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free. It's developed by doctors. In 3 weeks or less, you'll know whether it works for you like it works for me. Try Relief Factor for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
What does it take for organizations to triumph? It takes the trust of people like you. And that's why an estimated 14 million givers look for the ECFA seal. Over 2,700 leading ministries across the U.S. display ECFA seal, demonstrating that they live up to biblical standards of financial accountability, responsible governance, and trust. So next time you donate, look for the ECFA seal, a widely recognized symbol of trust. Visit ecfa.org/trust to learn more.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Got a great evening and a nice night with low humidity, really pleasant weather, and a low down to 63 degrees. We'll watch for a little patchy morning fog early Saturday. Otherwise, partly cloudy and a high of 84, but low humidity should make it a real nice day. Light winds, too. Sunday, light winds at high of 85, mostly cloudy skies, so the cloud cover increases. Rain looks like it should hold off until Sunday night into Monday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Liberal mega donors are always looking for new rhinos to do their bidding. And with Adam Schnelting, they found their new star. Adam Schnelting has already backed their radical plan to defund our police. And he skipped countless important conservative votes. Skipped a vote to protect kids from sexually explicit materials in school. And skipped a vote to protect churches from junk lawsuits. It's no wonder Adam Schnelting is bankrolled by Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden's top funders. Phil Cristofanelli is the only leader we can trust to protect our conservative priorities. When radicals tried to defund the police, Phil Cristofanelli passed record funding from Missouri's law enforcement. When Joe Biden left our southern border wide open, conservative Phil Cristofanelli banned sanctuary cities and voted to send Missouri National Guard troops to secure the border. Vote Phil Cristofanelli, the proven conservative, for state senate.
Gladius PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by Gladius PAC, and is not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the Morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Company, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Happy birthday. Yes, there is a birthday happening today. It's very close and personal to most of us, all of us here at News Talk STL. I'm sure you've heard it throughout the day, those of you that listen to the station. First of all, welcome into the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Chris Arps here. Behind the mic there, behind the wheels of steel is Joey V, our great executive producer.
Happy birthday to
Happy
you,
birthday to you. Those of you that are watching the stream will notice that my partner Tim Jones is off today. He's probably still recovering from the convention in Milwaukee. So back with me is Nate Lucas, the great Nate Lucas, NateLucas.com, formerly of 590 The Fan. He is our sports guru, here at News Talk STL. Yes, you have been promoted to sports guru. I don't know what that means, but accept the title. And
it means you don't button any of your
Well, I was told I needed to let it loose today on the camera. So fresh fade, chain hanging out. Let's go,
I like
baby.
that. And from Colombo, I was going to say Colombo and Katie, but
I still do.
Colombo and Company.
I still do too. It's okay.
Tony Colombo. Tony, I wanted to have you in the first segment here. Of course, we got a lot to get through in the news. There are further developments about the assassin, what we know more about him. Donald Trump, of course, accepted the Republican nomination to from the Republican Party. Senator John Tester of Montana, a vulnerable Senate Democrat. He's the second Democrat to call for Joe Biden to not run for re-election. But before we get to all that,
Heinrich out of New Mexico today.
Oh,
three.
I missed that.
Now 3 Democratic
That's 3
senators.
now. The dominoes are falling.
3 Democratic senators, 28 congressional Democrats in total, which is more than 10% of congressional Democrats have now publicly called on Joe Biden.
And many are speculating, guys, that Joe Biden will step down this weekend. If he does not step down by this weekend, I think Congress will be back in session, and I think you'll see even more Senate Democrats and congressmen coming out against Joe Biden. But before we get to all that, Tony, you were here from day one. I was here from day one. Today, 3 years ago today, turned the switch on. News Talk STL became a station. Your thoughts on this whole thing 3 years later?
Unbelievable. The best experience in my 27 year, right? I was trying to figure this out.
That's how old you are, I thought.
No, 27 years in radio, and this has been the best experience by far of my entire career. And the fact that that we're still growing, we're nowhere near to our full potential yet, even with all the success and all the support that we have had in these first 3 years. It's a very positive environment, a very motivating team to be a part of, and we do all the things that we like. When I was younger, when I was even in high school, I was part of the media. I wrote for the newspaper. I wrote the yearbook. I knew I wanted to do.
You were one
media.
of those people in high
big
school.
Time nerd, dude. Big time nerd. Big time. And I knew I wanted to be in the media, and I wanted to be in the media because I wanted to talk about the news and back then sports and politics and all of it. I wanted, that's what I wanted to do. And that's what we all get into this for. And unfortunately, in many areas around the country and in St. Louis and in every city, there's other influences. There's, corporate influences. There's, the negativity and weirdness on social media sometimes. And you get distracted from what originally attracted you to, being in the media. And we have gotten back to, we were talking about how we were the only ones last night carrying Donald Trump's speech. That's unbelievable to me. Like why, like it's
no other station in town covered Trump's speech?
I don't believe so.
Wow.
I could correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I am know and have been told from my own listening and from other people, that nobody else carried it. And for us, it's a priority to do that, to deliver, news and information to our audience. And that's what's really cool.
I want to get both of you guys' thoughts on this, especially you, Nate, first. People that listen to News Talk STL hear a million times a day that we are live and local. We've got 6 local shows from sun up to sundown and then some. And I think that was a great niche that Jeff Allen and Joe Rush identified that was missing in the market. People always talk about radio is dead. Radio has had more lives than Friday the 13th character, Jason, and all these people. And live and local. That is the key that I think for News Talk STL success and local radio success. Address that.
100%.
Nate.
So having worked in both corporate radio and independent radio, I can tell you firsthand that working for corporate radio is an utter nightmare. And seriously, you have to deal with people who are constantly breathing on you, telling you what you can and can't say. Oh, we're going to have a DEI meeting and you need to actually take this online, how bad you are because you're a white person class. I mean, I'm serious. It's funny, but it's legitimate. Independent radio is vitally important to our society. And it's an element that I have concerns about because financially it's getting harder and harder to keep these pillars up. But when you have a company like News Talk STL and the company that I was with before with 590 The Fan, independently owned, there is just the work atmosphere is you can't even recreate it. There is no comparison. It is so great. And people are excited when they walk in through this door to come to work.
You feel like a team. You feel like a team. Unfortunately, in many other cases, even members of the same station, not even just the same company, but even the same station, it's more of a collection of individuals, and people are only worried about themselves. And here it is always been about the overall product and the entire team, being together and being on the same page. And to Nate, to your point, the difficulty of an independent voice, especially in a major market like St. Louis, just even being able to be established. I mean, that's why we have two signals. There's no, when Jeff and Joe decided that they wanted to do this, there's no big signal that's available. The corporations have owned all the radio signals for decades. It's not like you can come in and say, even if you have the money, you can't just come in and say, oh, I'm just going to have 100,000 watt radio station. It doesn't work like that. That's they did. We have done what we have needed to do to cover the entire area with doing things like having two signals, making sure have dedication to the streaming services and the app and everything else, so we can get our message out there. All of that together really shows how hard it is for an independent to break into a major market.
Look at what you're up against.
And we're doing it.
You're up against George Soros. I mean, seriously.
Exactly.
I mean, people should know, advertisers too. Do you want to put your money in the back pocket of George Soros and his network, or do you want to put the money into True Local? And
a truly local
live
company.
here, invest here, spend here, you name it. This is where you need to be.
Tony, what are some of the metrics that that show that the station is growing and that we are making an impact? Don't give secrets away or anything like that, but give us some metrics to show that News Talk STL is growing and is going to be here for a while.
We're number one across the board in every demographic. Number one with a bullet, every show, every demographic.
Are you kidding?
No,
I
I'm not kidding.
I was getting excited. Like, really?
No, you see it. You don't even have to. There's no like secret curtain that you have to peel back to see the growth. You can see it on our daily live streams on platforms like Rumble and Facebook and even Twitter. Thousands of people a day streaming every show on the station. The podcast download numbers that continue to grow every single year. These aren't secret hidden numbers. You can see the number of views on live streams every time you click on it, and you can just see from those areas alone that we continue to grow. And and you feel it when you're in the community. When we have events, when Katie and I, when we had our band event earlier this year, and so many people came out, and like you can feel the momentum in the community.
Did you hear my story last week when my wife was taking
the show?
Gee, thanks. When my wife was taking a Uber somewhere, and she got in the car and she was like, "Wow, that commercial sounds familiar," and kept listening. And came back, and it was the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on News Talk STL. He was a foreign driver. I think he was of Indian descent, and how crazy that was. So that was kind of a metric for me that, somebody driving around Uber is listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
fantastic.
it's fantastic, and it's all thanks to you, to the listeners, the advertisers, everybody in this community that has supported us, has believed in us, and and we reciprocate by being here for you to deliver the news and information that you rely on us for every single day.
All right. I think that was necessary for us to take a few moments out.
I agree.
News Talk STL, 3 years.
3 years
Birthday
I can relate to
today.
that
We
because
came in.
3 years old. I act 3 on a
Yes.
daily occasion.
That's what I
So,
think.
all
All right.
relate
I
to
got to get started. I have you guys in the studio with me. Of course, the big speech was last night.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I watched probably the first 20 to 30 minutes. I fell asleep.
It was long.
I woke up. The president was still speaking. And then, because I wanted to see the balloon drop, and I fell asleep again. I woke up to balloons dropping, and then I watched the rest of it. Your initial thoughts on the speech? I'll give mine after you two.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nate. Go first.
Well, I mean, the speech was long. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, I think everyone, was sort of on pins and needles when he opened it, and the display of Corey Comparatori's, gear on stage there. It was, I mean, it was emotional, and then
you've got a little caveat there that you mentioned about the fireman before the show started.
Yeah, I mean, did they spell his name
don't
wrong on? I think they may have.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, they may have.
Tony, you're
done that.
Italian. You should know that.
I didn't know.
I'm just going to throw you in there.
I think they did.
Well, we were in coverage, so we weren't listening to until we went right to the story or right to the speech. Vic and I were on the air.
But it doesn't lessen the gesture, in my
Sure.
opinion. The motive was still there, and I think it was genuine. And honestly, I heard the MSNBC people right afterwards saying that this was a prop. I mean, you know what? Your whole station is a prop. Your whole party is a prop. Just shove it, okay?
Yeah. Amen.
So, the speech did get long. I think Trump is in a difficult spot, and this is obviously something that we can extract more. But when you force him to quote unquote tone down the rhetoric, you put him in a corner, and that's not what he has built his platform on. Donald Trump is at his best when he's not reading from the teleprompter, and it was very obvious when he was not reading the teleprompter and when he went back to the teleprompter. It's almost like he gets bored and or frustrated with repeating these policy things because he knows that in the 4 years in which he was president, those policies were built and they were working towards even better results. And he knows that the Biden administration came in and ripped them right away.
Yeah.
And so he has repeatedly brought this up. And I think it's almost gotten to the point where when you hear them, it's like, here we go again. We got to talk about these things.
Right.
And he can't, I mean, what are they nitpicking today? He called Nancy Pelosi crazy. He used Biden's name. He said that the election was stolen. All of these things, and that's all they hear. And that's why all of this rhetoric, we talked about it on Tuesday on the guest we had on. I said, how can we have a conversation about toning down the rhetoric when it's been the Democrats who have just lit arson on every single Republican in the country, and now we're supposed to come to the table and say, oh, I'm so sorry, let me wash your feet. That's not Donald Trump.
And I've never seen a convention speech in my life where the candidate accepting the nomination was all nice and rainbows and unicorns. You go after the other party. There's nothing unusual with Donald Trump did last night, regardless of the temperature, quote unquote, being high or him being shot. He did what a presidential candidate does. He did what 15,000 freaking people in the auditorium expect him to do.
Yeah, but it was a different tone. It
Yeah.
wasn't the normal Donald Trump presentation, and I mean that in a good way. I think we were talking about this just a little bit ago. In my entire life, and especially in the last 5 to 10 years, it's not been a race. It's not been trying to get every voter in the country. It's trying to get 51% because the country's so divided. And almost everybody has their mind made up, and they're not going to change their mind.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to change their mind. I think that right now, for the first time in a long time, there is a chance to actually change some people's minds. And it's a combination of the momentum that Donald Trump has and the connection that he's making, and just as much, if not more so, what a disaster and what a terrible president Joe Biden is. People that otherwise would have just never even considered voting Republican are getting fed up. They are looking at Joe Biden saying, I can't ride this train with you anymore. And I think there's an opportunity here to actually change some minds. And he reached out to, we've seen both, my opinion, we've seen both parties, the strategy to win elections, statewide elections, nationwide elections, has been to rally your base and try to get more of your people to show up than the other people. It wasn't about reaching out to the others. It's been about what do we need to do to get to 51% just to make our base, more motivated to come out than the other. I think for the first time in a long time, and again, a lot of it has to do with the horrible presidency of Joe Biden. For the first time in a long time, you can reach across the aisle and try to bring some people that otherwise wouldn't even give you a look that might consider voting for you now because they just can't. They just can't stick around with this Joe Biden and this progressive lunacy.
I think from a tactical standpoint, the problem with the president's speech last night, besides it being too long, was he came out kind of subdued, trying to set the moment that, hey, I'm serious. I was shot. I know that this was God had saved me. But he also then after that went into campaign mode and gave the speech that he does at the rallies where the crowds are ginned up and he's ginned up. And that just didn't work. If you're going to be subdued at the start of your speech, you can't go into the campaign part of your speech and be subdued. I think they felt that it would have looked wrong if he was sober and subdued in the first part of his speech talking about the assassination attempt, and then he switches into campaign mode and is screaming and yelling. I thought that would have looked awkward, but I think that would have came across better than doing your campaign stuff in the subdued tone, because it just didn't come across as what you expect at a Donald Trump rally. And people were walking out. People were yawning. People were falling. There's video of people falling asleep.
It was late.
Yeah, and it was late.
I mean, on the East Coast, it was closing in on midnight.
But
I mean, it was late.
I think, to use President Trump's famous words, Trump's famous words, he was low energy during the part of his speech that he should have been a higher energy. And that would be my biggest fault with the speech.
So
the content I had no problem with.
I know you guys are going to get into more specifics and talk about specific moments and things that were said, but just overall, both of you, I'd like to know, what do you grade the speech? What was it? Was it good, bad, middle of the road? How did you feel just overall about the speech in general?
Here's my takeaway. The speech wasn't for me. Okay. I don't think I was the intended target. Trump knows that he has my vote. I'm ultra MAGA. Okay. There is no too extreme that Trump can get on a stage for me to feel offended or something. I'm all for it. I mean, tear the house down. I don't care. He needed last night to deliver a speech that sounded like unification. He trying to bring in the Nikki Haley section of the party. I mean, there's been an obvious lack
reach
of
out to unions, really some traditionally Democrat, like those people I was talking about that don't vote Republican. He was reaching out to them specifically by name.
I think the joke is, though, that the media has tried to paint this guy as somebody who can't deliver a speech like he did last night. He's incapable of doing it. He's unhinged. He goes off the hook, whatever. No, he can settle down and he can deliver a speech and he can talk policy. But he also, what has built his brand is being bullish and being a attack dog and being that big brand of Trump. And I don't think that the assassination attempt on Saturday, it might, halt that for a little while, but you are who you are. It's not going to take away his name.
What did you think?
And we got to go to break soon, but I think Trump gave two speeches. I think he gave the conciliatory, sobering speech. That was the first 30 minutes. I'd give him an A+ on that. I think the latter part of his speech, I would probably give him a C when he went into campaign mode. but was still in the subdued, sobering voice. I just think that didn't mesh well. But as you said, Nate, that speech wasn't geared to me and you, people that were already voting for him. So that's my thoughts there. We got a big show coming up, guys. We've got Lieutenant Governor candidate Dave Wasinger. He's going to tell us about his time at the RNC. We'll have a little Chris's Corner on the Biden latest news. 524 Patrick Tuohey, senior fellow at the Show Me Institute. And Joey's going to tell us about the new disaster movie, Twisters, at the end of the show. Might take my wife there and unwind a little bit and watch a disaster movie. Listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 1019 941 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
I want him to do something about George Soros in this country. Get him out.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Got a great evening and a nice night with low humidity, really pleasant weather, and a low down to 63 degrees. We'll watch for a little patchy morning fog early Saturday. Otherwise, partly cloudy and a high of 84, but low humidity should make it a real nice day. Light winds, too. Sunday, light winds at high of 85, mostly cloudy skies, so the cloud cover increases. Rain looks like it should hold off until Sunday night into Monday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter.
Hey, everybody, it's your buddy Todd Showalter. Join me and my buddy Joey V for The Right Mind Show when we put the fun in our dysfunctional world.
The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday evenings at 5 on News Talk STL.
Well, we're approaching the weekend. You're going to do all kinds of weekend warrior activities. So you might want to think about making an appointment now for Monday at my favorite spot where I get all fixed up, lickety-split. Comprehensive Chiropractic and Sports Performance. Comprehensive Chiropractic can be found anywhere on the internet. You just type in Comprehensive Chiropractic, Eureka, they'll come up. Yes, they're based in Eureka, but they are the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility for our entire region. They have helped me personally for nearly 2 decades on many occasions for various aches and pains. I see the docs there frequently. Doctors Fader and Patton, 2 Dr. Pattons there, Dr. Gorman, so many others, so many great docs there, Comprehensive Chiropractic. They can take care of all those chronic and acute injuries and so much more. Holistic healthcare, that's what they provide. They want to know about your diet. They want to know about your vitamin regimen and so many of these other things. They can help you with sleeping patterns, all that kind of stuff. They will help you holistically, as I said, the whole body. They're not just going to crack your back. They're going to fix you up from head to toe. Now, some of you, or you may have family members who suffer from something called peripheral neuropathy. It's horrible. It's painful. Dr. Kim Patton and Sean Patton have the Restore Neuropathy program. 95% success rate, improving neuropathy symptoms from 60 to 100%. Truly amazing indeed. The knee track system. Yes, a non-invasive, non-surgical way for all of us who suffer from knee pain. Young and old suffer from knee pain. It's something that's just part of the human condition. You can get it fixed up there at Comprehensive Chiropractic as well. Comprehensive Chiropractic, Comprehensive Integrative Healthcare, 2 great businesses located right next to each other in my beautiful hometown of Eureka. But as I said, they service the entire region. They have patients that come from near and far because it's absolutely worth it. Mention me, News Talk STL. Give them a call, 636-938-9310, 636-938-9310, cchiropractic.com, CIH.health for all your comprehensive healthcare needs.
Hey, it's Columbo for Capriotti's Sandwich Shop. Capriotti's is famous for setting themselves apart due to their dedication to superior quality and ingredients like slow-roasted, hand-pulled whole turkey and American Wagyu straight from Snake River Farms. That dedication to superior quality is evident from the very first bite into a Capriotti sandwich. Visit Capriotti's Sandwich Shop 7 days a week at the corner of Manchester and McKnight in Rock Hill and get more info, including how to impress at your next event with their great catering at capriottis.com.
Attention voters. The truth about Phil Cristofanelli may surprise you.
As state representative, Phil was endorsed by Promo, a Democrat-led LGBTQIA+ organization with extreme views.
Promo pushes for sex changes for kids, males and girls sports and bathrooms, and teaching gender confusion in schools.
Phil's record speaks for itself.
He voted to allow boys and girls sports.
And pushed to teach sexual orientation and gender identity in public schools.
Is this the leadership we want? Think carefully when you vote.
Paid for by Leadership for America PAC, John Royal, Treasurer.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point.
It's hell getting old, and it's hell watching someone you love get old. Father Time is a thief, and often a cruel one at that. We lost my dad to Alzheimer's 4 years ago. It was hard, and it was heartbreaking. as were the several years preceding it, though blessedly his onset didn't come until he was in his early 80s. There came a time, though, when we had to take the car keys away to ensure his safety and that of others. He didn't put up much of a fuss. He got it in his head that it was due to his pacemaker. After trying to explain that wasn't it, we quit forcing the issue. He accepted the change in roles and responsibilities, and we adapted. When all is said and done, I don't know what Joe Biden's formal diagnoses will be. What I do know is that we've reached that point where it's time to take the keys away. He doesn't seem to see it. Of course he doesn't. He's never had a clear sense of himself, and that's only worsened as age has clouded his vision. One suspects those closest to him haven't helped in that regard either. It's no easy thing, and no matter how you look at it, it's sad. But it's time to ensure his safety and that of others.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps.
I am running to be
But what happened last week when they took a shot at my hero and they tried to kill the next president of the United States? Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother.
4:33 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Excuse me if my voice is a little more amplified, but when you come in after the Hulk Hogan, you've got your adrenaline going there, Nate.
Come on, brother. You gotta bring it.
That's a good imitation. There, were you a big Hulk fan back in the day?
It's all those Reds, those Marlboro Reds I used to smoke back in the day.
You didn't answer the question. Were you a Hulkster back in the day?
I mean, professional wrestling's never quite been my jam, but
I figured you would. I figured you back, since you're a little younger than me, that you would have like the Hulkster underoos and the Halloween costume, the whole nine.
I was just basic. Every Halloween, I think I just put army paint on my face and ran around because I had an opportunity to run around the neighborhood with a fake gun.
I love that. Hey, we've got on the line David Wasinger. He's a lieutenant governor candidate, and he was also at the convention. He met up with my co-host, Speaker Tim Jones, there on the floor. David, you saw the Hulk Hogan speech live there. Was it as exciting as it looked on TV there in the arena?
Well, Chris, thanks for having me, and thank you, Nate. I did see your colleague Tim Jones at the convention, and we visited, and the consensus is we attended the convention in 2016 when Trump was in Cleveland and was nominated. The energy level then was probably 1 to 10, or probably a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. This convention, on a scale of 1 to 10, was probably about a 12.5 on the Richter scale, and Hulk Hogan sent it to about a 13.5. So everybody's energized. We think Trump is going to win this thing in a landslide. It is just very, very energetic, very unified party, very fun time in Milwaukee, which did a great job with the convention. And I hope Tim has had as much fun as I did up there.
Well, we've been talking about Trump's speech a little bit, and really, whatever grade you give Trump's speech, I just think the overall 4-day agenda was perfectly put together. And I thought some of the most powerful moments were from everyday Americans. I mean, the 98-year-old World War II vet, the woman who lost her oldest son to a fentanyl overdose. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And the Democrats, if you look at how they've structured their conventions, it's like we need to bring out every celebrity, every A-list, and to bring out everyday Americans and have that sort of emotional impact, I thought was really powerful.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. The World War II veteran, I think a lot of people had both tears and joy and a lot of emotions running through. And as you saw President Trump and the rest of the audience, sometimes there's a lot of chatter and other things going on. When the World War II veteran, everybody came to attention. It was very heartfelt, very emotional. So your analysis as the listing of speakers, I think, is spot on. It was a very entertaining, very well put together, one of the best conventions I think ever put together by either Republican or Democrat Party.
Speaking with Lieutenant Governor candidate David Wasinger at davidwasinger.com. He was in Milwaukee at the convention. David, the convention, of course, happened a couple of days after the attempted assassination of President Trump. More and more information has come out on the shooting. More and more information has come out on the lax security for former President Trump. What were some of the sentiments of the people there at the convention regarding these developments?
The consensus was that, again, the energy level prior to that incident happening, I think, was extremely high. But in light of that, it was an incredibly unified, energetic crowd. There was a little bit of discussion about the flaws with the Secret Service, but the primary discussion was getting Donald Trump elected this year and November, coming out strong and turning this country around. And it also addressed, it wasn't just the potential assassination. They've tried to imprison him. They've tried to remove him from the ballot. They've tried to import millions of illegal aliens in to vote against Donald Trump. So this was a culmination of everything they've thrown against President Trump to try to keep him out of office. So I think it was more of a consensus that the establishment and the Democrats will do anything to maintain power. And this assassination attempt was just one more element of what they've tried to do to take this toughest man on earth. There's no question about President Trump is the toughest man on earth.
There were some pretty notable names missing from the convention. I mean, last vice president under Donald Trump, Mike Pence, none of the Bush family, none of what has been termed like this establishment rhino base of what has dominated the Republican Party. And as a guy who is a huge Trump fan myself, I mean, I think there is a sense of a real gratification in the movement really becoming Trump 2.0 and the GOP now being really centered around this MAGA movement that is America first and almost has a populist feel to it.
I think you're spot on. The Republican Party is now the party of the working man. It is no longer the Chamber of Commerce country club party. It is a party of the working man that's looking out for Main Street and not Wall Street. I intend on taking my role as Lieutenant Governor, if I'm honored to be elected, to take those same values and my small town values from Hannibal and take those Main Street values, just as President Trump has, and taking those to Jefferson City, cleaning out the swamp in Jefferson City, and fighting for Main Street and not these lobbyists and special interests that are currently controlling Jefferson City. So I think that's where the Republican Party is. That's where I am. And I think that's where the electorate is. So I fully intend on being elected Lieutenant Governor and draining the swamp over in Jefferson City.
Speaking with Lieutenant Governor candidate David Wasinger, he can be reached online at davidwasinger.com. Speaking of your campaign, David, how is it going in the final weeks here before the August 6th primary? You're up on television, you're up on radio. What's going on?
We are all over the state. We're on the air. You may have seen some of my commercials. I'm originally from Hannibal. We've got a film commercial that we filmed in Hannibal that's getting a real positive response. We've got a commercial where I had my youngest son was almost killed by a guy that running illegal aliens. So we've made a commercial that's really resonated. I'll tell you, Chris, there was a young man, Travis Wolf, who wasn't as lucky as my son. He's a 12-year-old boy that was killed by an illegal alien about 2 or 3 months ago. It made national news. His father reached out to me. It was one of those on Facebook. He sent me a direct message. I talked to him this morning. His Tim Wolf, who's the father, his son, 12-year-old, he was 11 years old. His birthday was the 12th birthday was to be the following day, was killed by an illegal alien running. And Tim Wolf and his wife were also seriously injured in the accident. So when you hear the phrase that every state is an open border state, it affected the Wolf family. It almost turned our family's life upside down. So it is a big problem. We need to get under control. The career politicians and insiders of Jeff City are not getting it done. We need change in Jefferson City, and I intend on bringing that change if I'm fortunate enough to be elected lieutenant governor.
David, I'm just curious, was there an issue or something that really hit you, which got you from the private sector into this political realm? I mean, most sane people would say, I think I'm good on that process, but it seems like you've jumped into it. And I would just add to that, I was listening to a liberal media say that all of these speakers, that Trump has up there, they have no experience in the political arena. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that's actually maybe a sense that people from the private sector are recognizing that career politicians suck and we need to turn the leaf on them, which would be good if we got more normal people in our politics.
Boy, you and I are kindred spirits. I'm a conservative outsider running to flip this switch in Jefferson City and these career politicians and insiders. And really, it's been a culmination of things. Our son almost being killed by an illegal alien. It's an office that I really, several people have reached out to me over the years to run for various offices. This office really intrigued me. I talked to my wife about it. And bottom line is, we've got these two sons. And Colleen and I, who's sitting here next to me, are concerned about the future that these two boys and your kids, our grandkids, are going to be inheriting. Somebody needs to get off. The conservative outsiders need to get off the sidelines, go into Jefferson City and Washington, D.C., just as President Trump did, and go in and drain the swamp from these special interests and lobbyists that are currently controlling both Jefferson City and Washington, D.C. And I intend on using the lieutenant governor as a bully pulpit to call out these swampy deals that are taking place in Jefferson City.
That is Lieutenant Governor candidate David Wasinger telling us about his time at the RNC convention there in Milwaukee and about his campaign. He can be reached at davidwasinger.com. David, give the folks your other social medias.
So it's davidwasinger.com, one S, David Wasinger, DavidWasinger. That's on Twitter or X now. That's on Twitter. That's our website, davidwasinger.com. Also want to let your listeners know that I'm the only candidate endorsed by Missouri Right to Life to be Missouri's lieutenant governor. So I've been honored and humbled to be endorsed by Missouri Right to Life. And the most conservative congressman in Missouri is Eric Burleson out of Southwest Missouri. Just recently endorsed my candidacy to be lieutenant governor. So I'm honored and humbled to receive these endorsements from both Missouri Right to Life and Freedom Caucus member Eric Burleson.
Nick's done a lot of work down there in Springfield. He looked up and shook his head positively when you mentioned Congressman Burleson.
I think Congressman Burleson, sometimes when you get to Washington, D.C., you want to be seen and not heard for a while, but I believe he's got a long career ahead of him, and he is one of the true conservatives right now in Washington, D.C., and we're lucky to have him in the state of Missouri.
Yeah, and Congressman Burleson was with me yesterday. I hosted the breakfast for the Missouri delegation yesterday in Milwaukee. So Congressman Burleson was with me yesterday, and we had a great turnout. We gave a gift bag. We gave the delegates a Make Missouri Great Again hat for their service as delegates, so they got a kick out of that. By the way, Nate and Chris, if I see you, Chris, I saw you the other day in Peebly. I'll give you a Make Missouri Great Again hat next time I see you guys, and you can wear those on your show. So now also, I think Tim, I gave one to him up in Milwaukee, so he should have one.
Excellent.
When I see you guys next, I'll give you a Make Missouri Great Again hat to show we're the only pro-Trump candidate running for Missouri lieutenant governor.
Looking forward
Tim
to that.
gets all the gifts.
He does get all the gifts.
He deserves it. Tim's a good guy.
He is.
David,
so you'll get ahead.
Thank you, sir. David, have a safe travel back home and safe travels on the campaign trail. We wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, take care.
Thank you. Nate, Chris's Corner, we're going to talk about the latest with this, I shouldn't even say his name, the shooter who attempted to assassinate President Trump. Some of the details that are emerging are very disturbing, and some of the thoughts that are going through my head would make you say, Chris, you left your tinfoil hat at home. But we'll talk about that on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
I make this pledge to you today. I will never, ever ride a bicycle.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Got a great evening and a nice night with low humidity, really pleasant weather, and a low down to 63 degrees. We'll watch for a little patchy morning fog early Saturday. Otherwise, partly cloudy and a high of 84, but low humidity should make it a real nice day. Light winds, too. Sunday, light winds at high of 85, mostly cloudy skies, so the cloud cover increases. Rain looks like it should hold off until Sunday night into Monday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
One way or the other, we've got a big decision from President Biden. Is he in or is he out of the race? We'll update you on Monday.
Morning starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL.
Is your portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps, driving the leftist crazy all afternoon.
Tragically, the shooter claimed the life of one of our fellow Americans, Corey Comparator. He was a highly respected former fire chief, respected by everybody. Was accompanied by his wife, Helen, incredible woman. I spoke to her today, devastated, and two precious daughters. He lost his life selflessly, acting as a human shield to protect them from flying bullets. He went right over the top of them and was hit.
450 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Of course, the former president of the United States being shot and wounded is going to get the most attention, but we don't want to get lost in this story. The tragedy of the firefighter who saved his wife and saved his daughter from being shot as well, who unfortunately lost his life. More and more disturbing details are coming out on the shooter. And what's even more disturbing, Nate, to me, is the Secret Service director has not taken any personal responsibility for this. She has refused to resign, and she is not giving a whole lot of information to the media and to the public.
It's a really bad look. And, you know, she's on record as saying, I believe it was with little Lester Holt, that the buck stops with me.
Yeah.
And yet, like everyone in this administration, they seem to escape any accountability whatsoever. And I think Americans are beyond frustrated with the lack of accountability. And it goes all the way back to the start of this administration.
Yeah.
I mean, the Afghanistan debacle, Kamala Harris has had more titles attached to her name than she's ever done anything,
So many jokes. There's so many jokes.
But
there.
Josh Hawley today, the senator from Missouri, released a pretty strong worded letter that insinuates that there are a lot of questions that need to go right to the Department of Homeland Security. And for the life of me, is Alejandro Mayorkas the worst cabinet member in the history of the United States?
He's in the running there with the Merrick Garland, the defense secretary. I mean, they wait in line. Hey, we've got more to talk about that Josh Hawley letter and others next here in Chris's Corner.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
Law enforcement officials investigating the assassination attempt against former President Trump. They briefed lawmakers Wednesday on the Hill. The lawmakers they said that the briefers are attempting to access 3 foreign encrypted platforms that Crooks used on his cell phone, multiple sources told CBS News. According to the sources, the officials told lawmakers they found over 14,000 images on Crooks' primary phone and found among them a screenshot of an online feed of the July 13th rally saved at 6:01 p.m. That would have been just 10 minutes before the shooting began. Judiciary Committee Jim Jordan, chairman, included a detail in a letter that was sent to the FBI director. The Secret Service told law enforcement partners during briefings on July 8th, according to whistleblowers who have come forward to the committee, that it had, quote, limited resources the week of Trump's rally because the agency was involved in covering the NATO summit in Washington, D.C. The FBI spokesperson confirmed the Bureau received the letter, but declined to comment further. Surprise, surprise. New details are emerging. Federal investigators are examining the possibility that gunman Thomas Crooks scoped out the area at Saturday's rally 6 days before Trump's appearance. It's just getting worse and worse here. Also, the FBI told lawmakers on Wednesday that the gunman who attempted to assassinate the president used his cell phone as well as other devices to look for images of Trump, President Biden, Attorney General Merrick Garland, FBI Director Christopher Wray, and a member of the British royal family. And Secret Service Director Kimberly Chatel, she apparently met with Donald Trump at his hotel in Milwaukee on Tuesday to brief him. Chatel also met with Trump's aides on Monday for a briefing, but the meeting was acrimonious at times. Can you imagine that? Somebody tried to kill me and you were lax in your job, and there was some acrimony there and there. Shocker. And finally here, the DHS Inspector General's office said yesterday that it is opening up another investigation into the Secret Service, a third, with this one focused on the United States Secret Service's planning and implementation activities to protective operations. So the proverbial crap is about to hit the fan here. You got 3 DHS investigations. You're going to have Congress investigating this as well. The Secret Service director is going to come up on the Hill. She's got a lot to answer for. I don't see how she survives, just like Joe Biden is not going to survive. I talked about it before Chris's Corner, my tinfoil hat theories here. I didn't mention here in Chris's Corner that yesterday the reports that Iran had basically a bounty out on President Trump. Iran is known for putting bounties out on former leaders of the United States. You remember during Donald Trump's presidency, he killed Soleimani, who was their big general, their big planner. And so, of course, Iran would want to seek revenge. And so President Trump, a couple weeks ago, had added security because of this threat from Iran at that time. And, this could be a Clancy movie, title, book again. But what if somehow Iran had connected with this young guy? He was disillusioned. They set him up to commit this crime. Maybe the United States government, who does not like Donald Trump, the deep state, they intercepted these messages. They knew that there was this possible hit on Donald Trump. And because the Secret Service security was so lax and was so bad, it's either complete incompetence or it was criminal. What if they knew that this kid was going to assassinate Donald Trump and they just let it happen, even though they knew that they had the intelligence that it was going to happen? I mean, that sounds like a plausible scenario when you see the comedy of errors, Three Stooges routine we have here that was supposed to be Secret Service protection for the president of the United States. There are a lot of questions that are going to be asked, and hopefully those questions will be asked by these people in power. And that is Chris's Corner. Nate, should I go to the car and get my tinfoil hat? Is that just crazy, or what's your thoughts?
I had not really contemplated the Iran connection prior to you kind of teasing it in the break off air with me, but I think all options are on the table.
It's crazy, but it's like, why does a 20-year-old kid have encrypted accounts to foreign countries?
And the faster that they tell you shut up, no, there's nothing there, the more we need to investigate.
Nate, I love that. Coming up, Patrick Tuohey from the Show Me Institute and Joy will talk about the new movie Twister, listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
I was at the Trump rally Saturday night. He won't give one dime to any school districts that have any kind of vaccine mandate. It would be great to have polio and measles all come back.
I don't believe you went to that rally. Obviously, I'm catching your snark, and you are not a Trump supporter. You're not even a listener to this radio station, so thanks for calling, Lester. I mean, that's not your real name either.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. KLDY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9 94.1 and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. A cyber expert says today's global outage will take time to fully repair. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
Down Detector, which tracks user-reported disruptions to the internet, recorded that many services across the world have been affected by the outage, although the disruption appeared piecemeal and was apparently related to whether the companies use Microsoft cloud-based services. Cyber expert James Bohr told the AP real harm would be caused by the outage because systems we've come to rely on at critical times are not going to be available.
We've got all of these critical systems. We've got obviously hospitals, airlines, banks. I've heard that there's emergency services involved.
I'm Charles de Ledesma, London.
U.S. journalist Evan Gershkovich has been found guilty of espionage by a Russian court and sentenced to 16 years in prison.
It's important to keep in mind it was held behind closed doors, so that means the media weren't allowed in during the proceedings. Friends and family of Mr. Gershkovich wouldn't have been allowed in. Foreign diplomats weren't allowed in. We were allowed in a group of journalists for the verdict. We went into the courtroom, and Evan Gershkovich was standing there in the metal and glass cage, which is known as the aquarium in Russian courts. In came the judge, read the verdict, guilty. He was sentenced to 16 years in a high-security penal colony.
BBC correspondent Steve Rosenberg reporting from outside the courtroom in Yekaterinburg, Russia. Louisiana's agreed to delay implementing a requirement that the Ten Commandments be placed in all of the state's public school classrooms until at least November. The agreement was approved by a federal judge on Friday. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 377 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, I'm Charlie Moon. I've been in the trading game for almost 20 years, and I just discovered the most powerful trading tool I've ever seen. So if you're trading stocks or options, then listen up. This new AI-powered trade finder can find you stocks to consider trading, which have had gains as high as 1,729% and have had nearly perfect win rates. It analyzes the entire stock market in seconds and pumps out a list of trades for you to consider every single morning. And the trades it finds can be potentially profitable regardless of which direction the market is moving. So if you want in on this action, listen closely. For a short amount of time, I'm opening up free access to some of these picks and giving you the chance to get top trade ideas from the AI Trade Finder every day for 100% free. Just text trade to 76626. Stop trying to find the right stocks to trade on your own. Just text trade to 76626 now and get access to the top trades our AI finds every single day. Text trade to 76626. Standard text and data rates may apply. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Text trade to 76626.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Got a great evening and a nice night with low humidity, really pleasant weather, and a low down to 63 degrees. We'll watch for a little patchy morning fog early Saturday. Otherwise, partly cloudy and a high of 84, but low humidity should make it a real nice day. Light winds, too. Sunday, light winds at high of 85, mostly cloudy skies, so the cloud cover increases. Rain looks like it should hold off until Sunday night into Monday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Congratulations to the awesome team at Connor Roofing for earning the 2024 National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction. Connor Roofing has now won back-to-back honors because they do outstanding work in all types of roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. We chose Connor Roofing without telling the owners, Rob and Kathy Connor. Their customer reviews are some of the best in the country. Please read them. Visit ConnorRoofing.com and request an estimate. Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor.
Hey, Columbo here for the great cleaning pros at Zero Res. Summertime in St. Louis means barbecues, graduation parties, and spending time with friends and family. And Zero Res knows how important it is to have your home as clean and healthy as possible for your loved ones. So they have an amazing summer offer for you. Book a cleaning in July and mention the Columbo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 and a 4th room free. Just mention the Columbo special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
St. Louis's place to talk. The American people have further lost faith in our governmental institutions.
People can decide what they want and how they want to live.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Millions of people around the world are feeling the impact from that global tech outage. A faulty software update is being blamed for the chaos. The cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike says a fix has been deployed, The outages stem from an update to Microsoft Windows computers. Users around the world saw this blue screen of death, as it's being called. Thousands of flights were grounded, while banks, 911 emergency services, and countless other businesses felt the impact.
506, welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Nate Lucas from NateLucas.com is sitting in for Tim today. And Nate, I don't know about you, but hey, Facebook worked on my phone today. I could get to my Gmail. I had no idea we had the largest IT outing in history right now. The big question I have for you was, Nate, how were you affected?
You know what? I have to say, I went to the gym earlier today, and usually you have to scan in, beep, okay, you're good. And I was like, where's the little scan device? And she goes, oh, we're writing down your member number now. So I said, oh, were you impacted by the outage? And she goes, we sure were. And I said, man, that damn CrowdStrike.
All right.
As if I know anything about
Well, I was going to ask you, Joey, you probably know what exactly. And, I have an IT wife, so I can ask her tonight if you guys don't exactly know. But what exactly is crowdsource and how are they affecting Microsoft's cloud, and why are planes not flying and hospitals can't bill and Nate can't go to the gym without someone writing down his gym
we need
number?
A moment of silence for Nate being able to work out.
This is a first world problem. No, I was still able to.
Yeah. They had to write down.
They had to write it down.
It didn't
his
count
membership
towards
number.
his points at the end of the month. So he gets a free Snickers bar or something.
No, it's an energy bar. Come on, it's a gym.
It's a scam over there. They try and get you to drink the smoothies. They got free Tootsie Rolls around so you stay fat. I know how they do it.
They do.
It was basically a security Windows update that got pushed out, and all of the computers just got stuck in reboot mode. So it was just blue screen, just over and over. It just kept rebooting all the computers. So if you know anything about IT, all you had to do was just reset it to the last time your computer had that, or go into the source code with a safe boot up and delete one little line of code. No one knows how to do that on their own, though.
Look, I don't know anything about IT, but when I see things just going over and over and over, like you just said, that sounds like a virus to me. Come on, Nate. That's a virus, isn't it?
We've all lived through the spinning wheel of death, right?
Exactly.
And where you get to the point where you're like, you know what? This project or whatever I need to do isn't important. I'm shutting it down. But the old hard reset, that didn't work for CrowdStrike.
Just plug it in and unplug it and plug it back in.
Chris had his tinfoil hat on. I'm going to borrow it. This
All
was
right,
an attack
go.
from Canada. Anything to do with booting and rebooting, that's definitely a Canadian
Oh,
virus. They let
Joey.
loose.
Good one.
That is
Good
solid.
one.
We
It took
trashed
me
out
half a
Trudeau
second. It
and-
took me a second.
Are
to
you
get
at the
there.
funny bone tonight?
You know what? I might
You
be.
should.
I'm usually a helium guy, but if you're going to be there,
There
let's
you go.
So didn't affect you, didn't
No.
affect me much. I mean, but when Facebook goes out or Twitter goes out, the whole world seems to shut down practically. But it didn't seem to be that effect. Now, I am traveling Sunday
Where are you
or
going?
Monday. We're going to Denver. Tim and I are going to be in Denver for the ALEC conference and representing citizens against I can't even think what the hell it is now.
Non-citizens voting?
Non-citizen voting. We're going to be there representing them at the Alex conference. Now, these folks saying that they've kind of repaired it a little bit, but it's going to be days before everything is back online. So I'm a little worried. Is my flight going to be affected Sunday or Monday?
Well, you and the CNN host that I was somehow working through earlier today, people are missing weddings through that. I'm like, really? Are they missing weddings? How do you have any documentation of that? I mean, come on. But it is, I do think on a larger scale, guys, it does show like how vulnerable we are.
Yeah.
When the grid, if there were to be an attack on the grid and it's shut down, goodness gracious, we are so reliant on it that I don't know how we could operate.
I saw a little bit of just how reliant we are on computers and electricity several years ago when we had the big snowstorms in St. Louis and we didn't have power for like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember me and my wife, we tried to survive in the house. We put like a tent up around the fireplace. We tried to like gut it out. We did it about 2 days. It was like, it's too damn
You loved
cold.
it. It was the closest you and your wife had gotten in years, baby.
Dude, we went to the hotel because it was just freezing in there. I mean, it was a big snowstorm. It was very, very cold as well. But I saw a glimpse a little bit of the apocalypse because there were no electricity for ATM machines. So if you didn't have a lot of places, you didn't have cash with you or something, you couldn't do business. There was no electricity. So I remember the grocery stores were like only letting like a few people in at a time. But they didn't just want hordes of people going there because there wouldn't be nothing left on the shelves. They would stealing it. And so you just saw that like, man, this is how it would kind of be if we had like some type of attack or natural disasters. There's no way to get any cash. They're limiting people into the grocery store so that you're not hoarding or stealing. And it was just a different existence to live that probably for about 2 weeks. We had to go up to the St. Louis bread code to like use the computer and stuff and do work. It was not a good situation. I know first world problems, a lot of people are saying, but you lose that.
Here's the other element about, when you talk about cashless society, anytime that you use a MasterCard, a credit card or any debit card, that system is hooked up to the internet, and the way it processes,
that's Twilight Zone.
It has to go back to a host. and so people, this day and age, to find people that carry cash around with them is pretty rare. Neither do I.
I don't.
I mean, I'm so bad that I don't even think I have a wallet on me. I just tap to pay with this thing.
And, we see that the effects of a cashless society on the merchants. We think for us, it's very convenient that I can use my phone or I can use my watch or something to pay for stuff. But if you go to the soda machine here in the building, they have a note on there that if you pay cash, it's like 20% cheaper than if you use your debit card, because he pays a 3%
processing fee
on all of the transactions. Plus, I'm sure it's added into the price of the goods already. I can't imagine why should a Snickers be $1.75. Seriously, dude. But it's probably added into there already. So the cashless society is hurting merchants, and it is helping the big banks on these fees. Now, they don't want to ask you. One of the things that President Biden is doing, populism, of course, trying to get the vote, is these junk fees on airlines and stuff like that. Would you be opposed to fees that credit card companies can't charge vendors 3% fee for using that? What's your libertarian view on that?
Fees have gotten out of this world, and I think even tipping has somewhat gotten out of control.
Ridiculous.
You go to Busch Stadium now, and I'm like, I'll tip a guy if he's coming around with a cold beverage or something, and he's working the stands. But if I go up to the counter and I'm asked, do I want to put a 20% tip on the $15 beer and the $12 hot dog, I'm thinking to myself, what precisely do you do to deserve a tip? You're doing your job.
Yeah.
So that's gotten out of control. I think these fees everywhere, and I've actually noticed, I'm sure you have as well, when you go to restaurants, if you use a credit card, they now associate, a 2% fee for processing to pay their own. Yeah. And it's gotten so crazy that these fees are so high. In fact, Thursday I was at lunch and I had an iced tea, and the guy that I was with was going to pick up my meal, and I was like, well, let me tip you at least. Just put the iced tea on there. And she goes, no, we'd actually lose money if I ran your card for the iced tea, so it's not worth it. I said, okay, well, I'll get you next time.
The benefits or negative of a cashless society. I mean, it's convenient not having to have cash with you, that your money is on your phone. I mean, before you answer that, let me tell you a quick story how I started putting a couple of years ago all my credit cards and things on my phone. I've told the story many times, so those that have heard it, I apologize. But I was out and I forgot my wallet, and I was on E, no gas. And Becky and I, we just have one car, so it's not like she can come get me if I ran out of gas or give me some money. So I was like, oh, man, what the hell am I going to do? Am I going to have to make a sign and go stand out in the street? Hey, I need gas to get home. Give me $1. I'm going to have to start begging. And then I was like, oh, I got my credit cards that are on my phone. I can just use my phone, use the credit card or my debit card and buy gas. And it was like, wow, this saved me. So I'm a big believer in the cashless society, just for that reason.
For the convenience factor.
Super convenience factor.
I'm not for a cashless society, but I am a huge
for the mark of the beast or the mark on the forehead.
The convenience of having, these digitally stored cards have saved me more times than I can count. And it is unbelievable. I mean, the technology, they also say that it's safer to use, say, Apple Pay than it is to
Would you get a chip
physically
embedded in your
I already
hand?
have 9. One from Pfizer, one from Johnson & Johnson, one from... No, I don't have any microchips.
Would you? When you just wave your hand over something, you pay for, hey, that's $3.75, Mr. Lucas.
I'll tell you
wave
what,
your hand over, boom.
You be the guinea pig, and I'll see how that goes for a few years, and then I'll decide if I
don't know.
jump
It's just
up.
that whole biblical mark of the beast. You can't do any commerce unless you have the mark of the beast. It all kind of lines up a
How
little
about,
bit. With
I know we're kind of going all everywhere here, but Trump's big, I think, I don't even know if it was on teleprompter last night when he was like, no tax on tips.
Yeah.
And, I mean, people love that idea. Tips, I don't even understand why the government gets to tax your tips. It's not,
your income. It's income. Well, they say it's income. I mean, it's $2.10, but you're getting tips that are 10 times that sometimes.
Well, I can tell you that since that's become a talking point on his campaign, I've noticed, I bartend a couple of nights out of the week, and I've seen a drastic uptick in people who tip in cash now. Because I don't have to tell Janet Yellen about my cash.
I thought that was already going on.
I think,
isn't it?
Well, it is going on, but
I don't think that's anything new, is it?
No, but I think more people are inclined to say, "Wow, well, if I give you a $20 tip, you're only really getting like 17 of that,
Yeah.
so I want you to have all of it." I think even if it's a 10, 15, 20% uptick in people that are tipping in cash, at the end of the night, that can save you $20.
I heard, and part of the reason that Donald Trump proposed this is he's trying to get the support of the culinary and casino workers in Nevada. Nevada is a swing state. Trump right now has, I think, a 6 or 8 point lead. He's opening up a lead. The head of the union for the casino workers, culinary workers, said that he doesn't believe that no tax on tip will ever happen, but he appreciates a Republican president, Donald Trump, reaching out to them and taking a look at their issue that maybe some other tax benefits they can accrue to these workers. But he said he doesn't believe that'll happen. But I don't know. I mean,
I wouldn't stand firm on the idea that Trump won't make something happen.
I hear you, brother. We've seen it happen, haven't we?
Yeah, and I think that is what is unique about Donald Trump is a lot of what he says during his campaign. He actually promises made, promises kept. And, Democrats don't seem to like that those come to fruition more times than not.
That is true. Nate, of course, you are a sports guy, but you do contemporary talk radio like you're doing now. Have you ever talked to or met Patrick Tuohey from the Shelby Institute?
I had him on a couple of weeks ago, well, probably months ago now at this point, because Busch Stadium, the DeWitts are looking for public funding for enhancements to what is now their closing in on 20-year-old stadium.
That's amazing.
Isn't it something?
Stadium is 20 years. That's insane.
Crazy.
That's insane. One thing that I noticed, to get on sports here for just a second, that there was a trend here that all of these teams, I think it may have been baseball or football, maybe both leagues, but all of these teams that got a new stadium, it was in like 3 to 4 years they were winning like a championship. Explain that to me. The Cardinals did that. They built the stadium
first year.
So there's I can't think of them right now, but there are other examples of teams that have built stadiums in like 3 or 4 years or less.
Well,
they are winning championships. What is that? Does that bring added revenue for players? What's the economics behind it?
Well, the good thing is it's just you and I talking here. Nobody's listening.
Exactly.
Chris, sports are all rigged.
Like wrestling?
Absolutely. No, I'm telling you, but like the Texas Rangers, they just built a brand new ballpark down in Arlington, and they won the World Series last year.
You see that time and time again. And you're a sports guy. Go back this weekend when you're really bored while you're sipping your Bud Light And think about all of.
There's got to be a Bud Light. There's got to be a Bud Light.
Oh, I'm starting to think of the sports beer. Did you hear about Bud Light is down to number 3 now? They announced that.
So who we got? We
Modelo's
got Modelo.
number 1. I think it was Pepe's Frozen Margaritas was number 2.
Dave Leapfrog Bud
Yes.
Light. Oh, that's
Pepe's
rough.
Frozen Margaritas of Leapfrog Bud Light. But yeah, Bud Light is number 3 now. I thought by now that they would have stopped the bleeding on that, but
It didn't really.
they
Whole
haven't.
political aspect of that with Dylan Mulvaney didn't impact me. I was never a big Bud Light drinker to
wasn't
begin
either.
with, but I
But you
know
drink that crap in college.
I'm not supposed to say this as a St. Louis guy,
Right.
but I'll drink a Miller Lite all day over a Bud Light, Mick
Mm.
Ultra. Now I do like Busch and Busch
Yeah.
Light, so
Now
but
you
that's
gonna
my hillbilly elegy in me.
And you drank Stag in college?
Well, a bar that I used to frequent in Springfield all the time, Falstaff.
Yeah. Oh.
My great friend Scott Morris. He had hams on draft.
I remember when me and my friends, we were in our early 20s and we were at Schnucks and we bought like it might have been a case or a 24 pack of like Falstaff or Stag. We were like,
Yeah.
oh my God, 24 pack for $4? Wow, what a bargain. But we took like one sip each of them, was like, oh my God, this is the
Nah, I
nastiest
see.
swill I ever had in my life. And we threw it away. But I'm sorry if I offended any of you Falstaff and Stag drinkers over there.
The
Forgive
Griezmann
me.
family's going to be coming after you.
Exactly. Which I worked when I was at Jim Towns' office, worked with a descendant
Yeah.
of the Greasy Dick family.
One of my best friends, Buddy Griezadick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You get free beer?
You know, we used to raid his dad's little liquor when we were in high school or whatever. And
Wait a minute, statute of limitations ran out on these? Any
yeah,
of
I
these
think
stores?
we're
Okay,
good.
got
His dad's discovered enough of what we've done at his house, but yeah, I don't think he ever updated his liquor cabinet from like 20 years, and here we
Okay.
are taste testing
Yeah.
liquor that had probably been on the shelf for 30 years, but we're still living.
You're still living. It's aged. And you know, whatever, when it's aged that long, it becomes almost rubbing alcohol. So whatever that was inside that was affecting you, it killed it, disinfected it.
That's right.
Good conversation. We're going to talk with Patrick Tuohey next. He's a senior fellow at the Show Me Institute. We're going to talk about the developers' huge Northside project being held up by Comptroller Green. Boy, she's been in the news more these last 6 months than she has been in 6 years. All that coming up next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps.
And there's an interesting statistic. The ears are the bloodiest part.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Got a great evening and a nice night with low humidity, really pleasant weather, and a low down to 63 degrees. We'll watch for a little patchy morning fog early Saturday. Otherwise, partly cloudy and a high of 84, but low humidity should make it a real nice day. Light winds, too. Sunday, light winds at high of 85, mostly cloudy skies, so the cloud cover increases. Rain looks like it should hold off until Sunday night into Monday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter.
Hey, everybody, it's your buddy Todd Showalter. Join me and my buddy Joey V for The Right Mind Show when we put the fun in our dysfunctional world.
The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday evenings at 5 on News Talk STL.
Many of you may be cleaning your windows this weekend. It's one of the chores we do on the weekends, right? Are your windows everything they need to be? Are they old? Are they dated? Are they cracking? Are they peeling? Are they letting all of the hot summer air in, which means all that air conditioning is going right out? You're air conditioning the entire neighborhood, as my mom would say. You need to call Window World if that's the case. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800. Get them out to your home today. They'll do a free in-home estimate for you. They'll come to you and check everything out. They'll be very honest with you. They're great people to work with. They're really good folks. They're heavily invested in our community. They have so many great things that they do. Number one charity they support, Action for Autism, having their big event coming up here on July 27th. We're going to be there. It's going to be awesome. 314-993-1800 is how to get a hold of Window World. One of only 2 window companies in the entire country that carry the coveted Good Housekeeping seal of approval. That's really significant. It really means something. It means these windows have stood the test of you, the discerning consumer, and they've come out on top. Ranked number 1 in windows sold by Qualified Remodeler magazine. 20 years in the business. 70,000 of our neighbors and friends in St. Louis have taken advantage of Window World. Wonderful windows. Why? Incredibly durable. Thermal efficiency built right in. It's not an extra. Double strength of glass, lifetime warranty. A true lifetime warranty. The last one is you're going to buy covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And get this. Think you can't afford Window World windows? Think again. First time ever offering 0% financing. Yeah, I said 0%. 0% financing for plans of up to 36 months. For qualified customers. Amazing indeed. Incredible commitment to customer service, heavily invested in the community, heavily invested in fantastic products. That's why they are simply the best for less. Windows, siding, entryway doors, sliding glass doors, so much more. Give them a call today. Free and home estimate. 314-993-1800. 314-993-1800. 24/7 at windowworld.com. That's windowworld.com.
Liberal mega donors are always looking for new rhinos to do their bidding. And with Adam Schnelting, they found their new star. Adam Schnelting has already backed their radical plan to defund our police. And he skipped countless important conservative votes. Skipped a vote to protect kids from sexually explicit materials in school. And skipped a vote to protect churches from junk lawsuits. It's no wonder Adam Schnelting is bankrolled by Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden's top funders. Bill Cristofanelli is the only leader we can trust to protect our conservative priorities. When radicals tried to defund the police, Bill Cristofanelli passed record funding from Missouri's law enforcement. When Joe Biden left our southern border wide open, conservative Bill Cristofanelli banned sanctuary cities and voted to send Missouri National Guard troops to secure the border. Vote Bill Cristofanelli, the proven conservative, for state senate.
Gladius PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by Gladius PAC, and is not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michael's Flooring Outlet. Michael's Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michael's to rip up their old carpet and replace it. They are both happy with the product and installation from Michael's. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peters, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Live and local.
Well, here's what's on my mind. I think I got the solution to immigration.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Charter Commission is apparently backtracking a bit on plans to try to get rid of the job of comptroller that's held by Darlene Green.
Mayor Tashara Jones also weighed in with her opposition to getting rid of the comptroller. For her part, Darlene Green says she just wants to focus on her job. Right now, a big part of that is to make sure St. Louis doesn't end up returning ARPA funds to the feds.
It's a fortunate thing that we have the money, but the unfortunate thing is there are deadlines in place that some, because of processes, may or may not be able to meet.
5:30 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And Nate, I don't know about you, but when you hear Comptroller Green there, she just sounds like a typical Democrat. She's like, we got that money. We there's a deadline. We got to spend it. We got to do something with it. It's money, free money.
And they are so adept, sadly, at spending money and getting no value or no return on it. It's astonishing how much waste they produce.
A lot of waste. And let's see what Patrick Tuohey, senior fellow at the Show Me Institute, has to say about this and other issues. Welcome into the show, Patrick.
And now a man who comes alive when there's bad public policy in Missouri, Patrick Tuohey.
Patrick, I apologize. I forgot that you had a theme, and that laughter you hear there is Nate Lucas. He said that he knows you well. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, thanks. Your previous segment had me reminiscing about the awful beer I drank when I was in college. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Now, I went to school in New England. I don't know if you guys have heard of Keystone or if that's fictional, but I remember getting to a house party and seeing cases of Keystone and thinking, yes, they got the good stuff.
Oh, my God.
What about Keystone Ice? It was like a higher
I remember
ABV.
that.
I think it was like 8%. My buddy Owen was into that for a while.
Funny. Patrick, tell us what's going on with Comptroller Green there. We've heard in the report about the Charter Commission was talking about eliminating her position. They have changed their mind on that. And then apparently there's the controversy with a North Side project that she is holding up. Tell us what's going on.
Well, first, let me say, I'm over here in Kansas City, so I'm not hearing as much about green as you guys are. But from what I've understood about this Northland project, I agree with her. And let me tell you, even if it's the worst free spending person you could have, the idea of having a comptroller, somebody whose job is just to make sure you guys aren't losing money, that's good. Again, even if it's not a great person in there, simply having that position, I think, is good. And this project, I would be siding with her because, and we could talk about the specifics.
Sure.
Basically, what she is trying to do is make sure that St. Louis doesn't make the mistakes it's made in the past, doesn't make the mistakes that Kansas City has made in the past, and that is putting the full faith and credit of taxpayers on the line for a private project that fails. And that's what happened out here in Kansas City with our Power and Light district. And so, God love her for fighting the good fight on this project.
Can we back up a little bit and just talk about government officials when they are given a bankroll, so to speak, and how they decide, which projects are going to green light and why they never seem to get to the core root of the issue, particularly in St. Louis, which is the violence. I mean, can we just start with protecting the people who are there before we start some new project?
Well, that would be great. But elected officials or politicians, they are responding to what the people want, and people like short-term bling. It is really difficult to solve long-term problems, and it is really not sexy to talk about infrastructure and sewers and, in Kansas City's case, settling EPA lawsuits. You want to spend the money on sexy things like entertainment districts or stadia, things that make you feel good about yourself. So it is a rare politician who can resist the urge to, frankly, give the people what they want and insist that, no, actually, we've got to eat our vegetables. We've got to do the basic stuff, the nutritional stuff. It can't just be cake and ice cream every day, to extend the metaphor. And so again, even having just a position of comptroller, regardless of who you have in there, is at least one person whose incentive is to protect the interests of the taxpayers. But look, I know it's great to blame politicians and elected leaders for being crass and being irresponsible, but we put them in office. And sometimes we want them to do the fun, party, sexy things that make us feel good about ourselves. And, nobody's going to City Hall clamoring for, renovated water and sewer systems. So those projects can fall away, unfortunately.
We're speaking with Patrick Tuohey, Senior Fellow at the Show Me Institute. Patrick, we have spoken with you for months now about the stadium situation there in Kansas City with the Royals and the Chiefs. It looks like that our governor is amenable to possibly helping Kansas City Chiefs and the Royals stay on this side of the border. What's the latest with this situation?
Well, the latest is simply that Governor Parson came into the Kansas City area and spoke with our mayor and the county executive, Frank White, here in Jackson County. He went up north of the river and spoke to the folks in Clay County and in North Kansas City, which is, of course, its own incorporated city. And basically maybe wanted to understand what they were willing to give or able to give, or maybe just kind of offer them support. But we really don't know any more than that. The Royals, which you'll recall, want to abandon the stadium they have and build something downtown, haven't yet put together a second request. I think they are expecting legislators to come to them with an offer, which is backwards. If you want to renegotiate your mortgage, you don't sit back and wait for the bank to call you. You've got to go to the bank. And so as far as the Chiefs, Kansas has changed their rules about star bonds, but really it's going to require the teams to take the initiative and say, here's what we want. I honestly don't think the teams will leave Missouri, but that doesn't mean that the deal that we offer them, whether it's North Kansas City or Kansas City, is going to be good for taxpayers. These deals are all bad for taxpayers. But you ask what the latest is. There really isn't a latest. Everybody's kind of talking and maybe feeling out what the other side is, but the teams haven't come forward with a request yet.
I think the biggest story, though, is what we've discussed in the past about how sports teams and the funding from taxpayers for their glitzy new stadiums is dried up. I mean, the idea that they're going to ask people for, hundreds of millions of dollars to erect a new stadium or whatever that looks like, I think those days are long gone in the sports world.
Well, I hope so. But, you look at what's going on in Tampa, Florida, and St. Petersburg and elsewhere in the country where cities have kind of fallen over themselves to make awful deals. I don't know that I'd be that confident yet, but, I'll point your listeners to an article in the UK Telegraph about how, Paris was expecting all this economic development from the Olympics they're about to host, and none of those claims are coming true. And I saw a story about how the Chinese city that hosted the Olympics a few years ago is, the facilities that they built are an absolute ruin. So, maybe it's easier to look across the country or look across the world and see where these projects have failed to live up to their promises, so that we here in Missouri and Kansas City and St. Louis can understand that they just don't live up. I mean, how many stadiums do you guys have in St. Louis and downtown St. Louis? And I don't think anybody would say that you guys have seen great amounts of economic development because of them.
Speaking with Patrick Tuohey, Senior Fellow at the Show Me Institute. I just heard Bernie Sanders just last weekend talk about the minimum wage, Patrick, that it's stuck at $7.25. It needs to be raised. We've seen on the West Coast, Oregon, and other places that have raised their minimum wage to $15, $20 an hour. We've seen job cuts instead of jobs being added and people being laid off. Talk about the different pay rates in Missouri and Kansas and how those minimum wage laws are hurting the working poor.
Well, Chris, I'm really glad to hear that you're finally coming out as a Bernie bro and sharing your story.
It's a show prep.
Yeah, I'm sure. So again, I'm a broken record on this issue. The people who want to increase the minimum wage, their heart is in the right place, and they want to raise wages and help workers, and that is noble. But the problem is the results have been awful. You may increase the wages for a few people, but you reduce the number of jobs available. So the effective minimum wage for somebody who has lost their job is $0. Now, for any business or government, big or small, labor is often the biggest cost. And when you increase the cost of labor through regulation, you incentivize businesses, to automate. You incentivize them to hire fewer people, maybe give the people they have fewer hours to avoid having to pay benefits. You really don't make everybody rich. And of course, you think of fast food or grocery stores. If you increase the cost of labor, what do they have to do but increase the cost of the products they sell to be able to pay for that? So it's such a trade-off. It doesn't actually end up helping anybody. And the worst part of it, I wrote a piece about this the other day, and I was reflecting on my first job when I was in school and how it was a great education for me because I learned how to be managed, how to show up on time, how to work in a professional environment. When you increase the wage, when you regulatorily increase wages and end up with fewer jobs available, the people who desperately need that first job have fewer options for it. And so they miss that first rung on the ladder up to, better jobs and higher paying wages. And so it's that first job, whether it's at McDonald's or Krispy Kreme or Emo's Pizza, that teaches people those skills. We need more of those jobs, not fewer of them. And unfortunately, the minimum wage, increasing the minimum wage, especially to $15 in St. Louis and Kansas City, robs people of that first job opportunity.
All right, Patrick, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What was your first job?
My first job was at the Bayside Expo Center, which was a convention center in Dorchester, Massachusetts, a suburb of Boston. And if you watch the documentary Trekkies, that is the building I worked in. They get footage of it right there. And I had to put on a 120% polyester security uniform.
I can feel the excitement in your voice still. It's amazing.
Well, I worked at like the Apple Expo, Macworld, and that's where I met Tracy Chapman.
Oh, okay.
It was exciting, but again, it was a grind. It was the first job. I worked nights because I was in school full time. But again, I learned to show up on time, to have people tell me what to do it, and to figure out how you work in I can't say it was a professional environment, but to work in that environment. And those skills, we all remember our first job, and we all remember how that prepared us for our next job.
The Expo Center to the Show Me Institute. What a story. There's a book. There's a book somewhere in there, Patrick.
I'm sure it's not a very fascinating.
We've been speaking with Patrick Tuohey of the Show Me Institute, Senior Fellow. Thank you so much for your time and for your expertise, and we'll speak with you in a couple of weeks.
All right. Thank you much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Patrick. Thanks. Nate, your first job. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess because I've just a little bit that I know of you. I'm gonna your first job where you were either a summer lifeguard or you were a baseball umpire.
Wow. Well, I can say I checked umpire off the list.
All right, no lifeguard.
Was never a lifeguard. Yeah. My first job, though, I insisted on clean windows. I was a waterway.
I thought this was an IT joke or something. Like
no, I literally insisted on clean windows at Waterway, cleaning cars.
Get good tips?
Yes, actually. I mean, that was probably the most money I ever made in my life, thinking back on it. But man, if you saw a minivan pull onto the lot, this is how crazy it was. We would do 100 car hours.
Yeah.
Think about that. 100 cars in 1 hour.
Was there ever a car where it was like sir, ma'am, sorry, I can't. Your car is just too nasty.
It's so gross. I mean, I'm telling you, minivans are a tough one because
I can
those
imagine.
kids,
Yeah.
Cheerios
Yeah.
stuck in cup
Diapers.
holders, and exactly.
Joey, your first job?
I worked at Blockbuster Video. It was always my dream to get involved in the movie business, and I started real low, pretty
You're
much.
like,
as
this
low
is
as
how
you
I'm
could
going to
go.
get into movie business with Blockbuster.
I've always been entertainment adjacent. I worked at a movie theater, and
Okay.
I worked at a bookstore, and now I'm a radio celebrity. I guess.
And
I don't know. It's hard for me to say.
What did you have to say to the patron who brought back his video and it wasn't rewound?
There were some porno videos dropped off in the Dropbox a few times, and you think, do I call him back?
That's a whole nother story there.
What if the wife picks up and you're like, excuse me, someone dropped off insert title that I'm not going to think of.
What about you?
My first job, my parents owned a beauty supply business. I worked in the stores and we would deliver to beauty shops. And I was doing that when I was 9 or 10 years old. So that was really my first job. But my first job outside of that, when I was 18, I worked at McDonald's.
Oh, wow.
I absolutely hated that job because, first of all, you had to stand on your feet for 8-9 hours, which hurts. And then you go home smelling like apple pie and French fries. And, it's not a pleasant thought with the ladies, hey, babe. And you're smelling like
grease and oil.
Yeah, you're smelling like a quarter pounder. Just not very attractive.
That's back when burgers
to
were
women.
15 cents.
Exactly.
Now, if you work there, be like, he must be rich.
But I did remember the good thing about working at McDonald's was depending how many hours you worked, you got a certain amount that you could spend on a meal. Now, I'm really, really dating myself here. If I can remember correctly, if you work like 4 hours, you could get $2.30 worth of food.
Wow.
That was 2 cheeseburgers, a small fry, and a small drink back in the day.
In Biden's America, that gets you gets you like a salt packet.
It isn't. So that was the positive thing about McDonald's. Depending on how much you worked, you got free food. So
I'm surprised they didn't just give you, a cost of a burger to them.
dude,
they
used to
absorb it.
They used to be on that stuff too, because a lot of times at the end of the shift, people would just cook up all type of extra stuff, knowing that it wasn't going to be sold, so they could take it home. But they would like really monitor that stuff and be like, "No, don't cook extra food at the end, so you can take it home for your friends." And
did you ever get breakfast after 10:30?
10:31.
10:31.
31, yes. I had to argue with them and tell them, look, I was in the line at 10:29, and when you're in the line, you still get breakfast. I don't care if the time has passed. So I had to make a scene.
I don't care what you say about McDonald's. Their breakfast is still decent.
The best. All right. When we come back, we'll talk about the new movie Twister, and I think this just shows further that Hollywood doesn't have much originality. We'll talk about that when we come back on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
I remember getting to a house party and seeing cases of Keystone and thinking, yes, they got the good stuff.
Oh, my God.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Got a great evening and a nice night with low humidity, really pleasant weather, and a low down to 63 degrees. We'll watch for a little patchy morning fog early Saturday. Otherwise, partly cloudy and a high of 84, but low humidity should make it a real nice day. Light winds, too. Sunday, light winds at high of 85, mostly cloudy skies, so the cloud cover increases. Rain looks like it should hold off until Sunday night into Monday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
We will dissect the speech of J.D. Vance and we'll preview the speech by Donald Trump at the Republican National Convention from our very own speaker, Tim Jones, who's at the convention. We'll talk to him Thursday at 9:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmoscholars.org. That's herzogmoscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Attention homeowners and businesses, AMF Electric has been your trusted partner since 1985. For your home, our residential experts treat every project with the utmost care and importance. From simple repairs to complete renovations, we've got you covered. Businesses, our commercial team handles all types of construction with expertise and efficiency. Even clients from out of state request our top-notch services. Available 24/7. We're just a call away at 314-647-4066 or amfelectric.com.
Hello, fans of the paranormal. I'm Frankie, host of the newest show on News Talk STL on a Garage. And we'll be discussing everything paranormal, from ghosts, demons, hauntings, and aliens to Skinwalker, Bigfoot, fairies, and the Chupacabra. Every Saturday night between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., me and Jeremy will discuss mysterious events in St. Louis and surrounding areas, including gateway families and unsolved true crimes. That's right. It's all right here exclusively on News Talk STL from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Saturday night.
What's the key to maximizing the value of your outdoor space? Satisfaction. And getting a fence or deck that exceeds expectations with the highest quality, American-made material. And working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. And adding safety and security for your family and pets to play, relax, and entertain. At STL Fenceworks, satisfaction is our core value. Doing it right the first time, staying above the competition. At STLFenceworks.com, your satisfaction is our passion.
This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps.
They're coming from prisons. They're coming from jails. They're coming from mental institutions and insane asylums. Has anyone seen Silence of the Lambs? The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He'd love to have you for dinner. That's insane asylums. They're emptying out their insane asylums. And terrorists are coming in at numbers that we've never seen before. Bad things are going to happen.
Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Speaking of movies, this is one of the movies that I did.
How did you tie that together?
Joey's like,
I
thought you were going to laugh at me because I was about to say that I have never seen Silence of the Lambs, any of the movies. There's a lot of classic movies like that I've never seen.
You need to get into the serial killer genre of movies. They're so much fun. Seven, Silence of the Lambs. Oh my gosh. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. It's so much fun.
Speaking of movies, Joy, there's a movie coming out this weekend, Twister. And when I heard this, I'm like, man, wasn't there a Twister movie that came out? And here on my sheet, it came out in 96. My question is, I've said many, many times that Hollywood seems to have a lack of originality right now. All we're seeing is just remakes, or we're seeing just the franchise movies. For a while there were the superhero movies. They're not doing as well now. With this Twister movie, are we going back to the disaster genre of the 70s when there was Airplane 75, 77, 78, the Poseidon Adventure, Earthquake,
Towering Inferno,
that O.J. Simpson, that was his first starring role. Have to throw that in. So are we going to go back to disaster movies now because the superhero genre, they've just overplayed it?
O.J. Simpson, you are into serial killer movies. All right, cool. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, don't forget that
Hey,
S.
the glove don't fit. Don't quit.
It is Twisters, okay?
Oh,
That's
there's
how
an
you
S
know
on it.
That's how you know it's a sequel. Yeah, I think it's
Because there was a rapper named Twister.
Oh, of course. He's the fastest rapper alive. I remember
Exactly.
Twista. Of course.
Twista.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's definitely harkens back to the 90s, specifically of those disaster films like Independence Day, if you remember, just people loving stuff getting blown up with a few fun characters thrown in. It's exactly like that. It's actually more of a rom-com.
Here's what I'm afraid of, Nate. I want you to chime in on this too. Twister. So I guess it's a tornado movie, right? Natural disasters. Is there political correctness in this movie? We're going to be hearing about global warming as a reason why we're having this tornado that destroyed half a state.
Yes,
and
AOC stars in it.
One farting cow.
Oh,
Remember
is
from the
she?
first one?
Does she?
That's
Yeah,
who stars in it.
no, she doesn't. It's
I was gonna say
a twister right on her abuela's house in Puerto Rico. My
Throwing out-
abuela.
That was very
Throwing out
good
paper
there.
towels to everyone. There you go.
She's such a phony.
I'd say it's not too political. The main.
You've seen it.
I have seen it,
Okay.
of course.
Okay,
I'm
well,
part of the press
yeah,
list
I
now.
forgot.
I get to see things in
Oh,
advance.
they send you copies in advance?
I went and saw it at the Galleria Mall on Tuesday with some wonderful smelling other critics that were there. Just a lot of people that care about.
We don't have enough
the
time for that
baby.
story.
There's not a whole lot of climate change talk about it, but there is some political stuff about buying up land after people have devastation.
Are the
happens.
Chinese buying the
It
land?
Could be China.
Okay.
Could be China coming in to take it.
China.
Of
China.
China. So, how about Trump dropping the China virus last night? He got a few digs in.
They did.
It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. It's garbage. It's
How
still-
long is it? It's not 4 hours,
it's 2
is
hours.
it?
It's a little too long.
It's as long as Trump's speech.
Exactly.
They focus a little bit too much on the romantic part of it, but this Glenn Powell guy, he is a megastar. He's the next guy. So see anything that he's
How
he's
much
got the
can you?
charisma.
How much of the plot can you tell us without giving it away?
Well, it's about
A
the-
tornado, I know, but
it's about these kids who want to make a device that can kill tornadoes. If they can make a tornado
Oh.
just collapse on itself, so them trying to figure it out. So there you go. I highly recommend it. Check it out. You and your
All
wife
right.
will love it.
That is Twister. We may go see that this weekend. Nate, thank you for filling in
Thank
these last
you.
2 days for Tim. Really appreciate it.
Been fun.
And I hope next time you're out, I hope you be available and join us.
Always.
Up next, Larry Connors USA. Larry's going to talk about a pollster says the GOP convention swing states are red. The Secret Service chief answers some questions about Trump's security, and more than a few believe the Trump shooting was staged. That's Larry Connors USA. Up next, you've been listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Drive safe.
Are you tired of establishment politics? Meet Adam Schnelting, your true conservative choice for state senate. Adam Schnelting, husband, father, soldier, and member of the House Freedom Caucus. Adam authored the legislation that ended abortion in Missouri and is the grassroots candidate Jefferson City fears. Unlike his opponent Phil Cristofanelli, who's backed by lobbyists and Democrats, Adam's support comes from right here in St. Charles County. It's time for real conservative leadership. Vote Adam Schnelting for state senate.
Paid for by Leadership for America PAC, John Royal, Treasurer.
Stop what you're doing and listen to this. Your God-given freedoms are up for the taking. And those doing the taking are the same people who've sworn to defend your freedom. They think they can control the media, hide the truth, and force their delusions onto your family. You know what they can't take away? Self-reliance, peace of mind. Got water filtration? You should. A charged solar generator? You better. Emergency food on your shelf? Get it now from My Patriot Supply. My Patriot Supply is the most trusted name in survival, and for damn good reason, too. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com right now and save $200 on their best-selling 3-month emergency food kit. It delivers over 2,000 calories per day, plus sealed inside practically unpierceable packaging. It lasts up to 25 years. Oh, and did I mention it's delicious? Go to MyPatriotSupply.com and save $200 per kit. Includes fast and free shipping. That's MyPatriotSupply.com.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL. Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton. KLGY HD3